My daughter went to Maldives. What she brought back almost destroyed us. She left her grandfather on a sick bed and went to Maldives.
I wasn't supposed to be home that week. My company had sent me to Singapore for a 2-month contract, and I told everyone I'd be back next Friday. But business wrapped up earlier than expected, and I thought it would be a nice surprise, for my daughter especially. She had been looking after my father, her grandfather, while I was away. When I rolled my suitcase into the driveway that evening, the house felt too quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't just happen, it lingers. I unlocked the door, expecting to hear my father's faint cough from the living room, or the sound of the kettle whistling in the kitchen. Instead, I was greeted by the steady beep, beep, beep of a life support machine, and the emptiness of the house. There he was. My father. Alone. His eyes half open but unfocused, his breathing shallow under the hiss of the oxygen tube. No one by his side. Not even a cup of water on the bedside table. I searched for my daughter, maybe she'd just stepped out? But then I saw it. Her phone charger missing, the wardrobe door slightly open, and a half-packed suitcase was gone. It didn't take long to find out where she was. A bright, smug smile stared back at me from her Instagram story, her bare feet buried in Maldives white sand, a cocktail glass in hand. I froze. My chest tightened. She had left her sick grandfather alone, for this? That night, I didn't sleep. I sat beside my father, holding his frail hand, watching the clock tick past midnight. And that's when something in me snapped. The next morning, I made some calls. Quiet calls. The kind that change everything without warning. By noon, my daughter's perfect little getaway was about to shatter, and she didn't even know it yet. When she finally called, her voice was casual, even cheerful. "Hey, Mom, I'm in Maldives. Is Grandpa okay?" I let out a slow breath. "He's fine," I said, my voice calm, too calm. "But you might want to check your bank account." The silence on the other end was delicious. Because I had just done something that would drag her back here faster than any guilt trip ever could. Her breathing on the phone became shaky. "What do you mean, my bank account?" she asked. I smiled to myself. "Well, you remember that emergency fund you've been enjoying since I left? The one I told you was for Grandpa's care?" She was silent. "I transferred it back to my account this morning," I continued. "And I also froze the joint card you've been swiping like it was a free buffet. No more cocktails, no more spa days." I could almost hear her head spinning. "Mom. Are you serious?" "I'm in another country." "Good," I said. "That means you'll have plenty of time to think about your choices, while you figure out how to get back home without a single cent." She hung up on me. "Now, before you judge me, you need to understand, this wasn't the first time she'd abandoned responsibility. A year ago, when her grandmother fell sick, she claimed she was too busy with work to help. The work turned out to be managing an influencer's Instagram. And by managing, I mean lounging in coffee shops taking selfies. But this time, it wasn't just disrespect. This was her own grandfather, a man who used to walk miles to pick her from school when she was little. And she left him hooked to a life support machine, alone. That day, I took control. First, I called her landlord. She had been 3 weeks late on rent, so I told him she wouldn't be returning for at least a month, and that I was emptying her apartment. I moved every single thing she owned into my garage. Second, I called her job. She had told them she was working remotely while taking care of a sick relative. I sent them the Bali photos she'd posted, the ones with her holding margaritas and dancing at a beach club. By evening, my phone started vibrating like crazy. Dozens of messages from her. "Mom, why would you do this? You ruined my life. I can't believe you would embarrass me like this." I didn't reply. Instead, I sent her one message. "Come home. We need to talk." 2 days later, she showed up, not in Maldives. In tears, dragging a dusty suitcase through my front door. "Mom, I had to borrow money from strangers just to get here," she said. I didn't even look at her. I was sitting by my father's bed, holding his hand. "You left him," I said quietly. "You left him like he was nothing." Her voice trembled. "I didn't think it would matter. The nurses were coming twice a day." "That's not the point," I snapped, my voice echoing through the house. "It's not about nurses. It's about being there when the people who raised you need you most." She sat down, hiding her face in her hands. I thought I deserved a break." "You think caregiving comes with vacation days?" I said. "Life doesn't work that way. And since you think it does, I've decided to show you what it feels like." She looked up at me, confused. I stood and handed her a set of keys. "Those belong to Mrs. Helen down the street. She's 86, partially blind, and has no children. She needs help. You're moving in with her for the next month. No phone. No social media. Just you, her, and reality." Her eyes widened. "You can't be serious." "I am," I said. "And if you refuse, you can pack your bags and find somewhere else to live. Because as of today, you're no longer welcome in this house until you learn what responsibility means." The first week, she tried to play stubborn. Complained every day, told the old woman she didn't belong there. But Mrs. Helen, she was tougher than I expected. She made her wake up at 5 a.m., cook, clean, and sit beside her during evening prayers. By the second week, something started to change. My daughter's voice softened when she called me to check on her grandfather. She stopped rolling her eyes when she talked about chores. She even asked Mrs. Helen to teach her how to make her late husband's favorite meal. And then, on the 19th day, something happened I'll never forget. She came home unexpectedly early. I found her sitting by my father's bedside, holding his hand just like I did. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Mom," she whispered, "I'm sorry. I get it now. I really get it." I looked at her for a long moment, then I said the one thing I had been holding back since the beginning. "Good. Because there's something I haven't told you yet, something about that day you left for Maldives." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" I leaned closer. "The day you left. Grandpa wasn't the only one you abandoned." Her eyes locked on mine. "What do you mean? Grandpa wasn't the only one I abandoned?" I took a deep breath. "The morning you left for Maldives, your younger cousin, Alina, came here. She had been calling you for 2 days. You didn't pick up." She frowned. "Alina, what does she have to do with?" "She came here because she didn't know where else to go," I cut in. My voice was steady, but my hands trembled. She was shaking, crying. She had just been kicked out of her apartment by her so-called boyfriend. She had no money. No clothes except the ones she was wearing. And she came here, to you. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. You were the only family she felt she could trust, I continued. But when she got here, she found Grandpa alone in that bed, and you were on a plane sipping champagne. She stared at me like she'd been punched in the chest. I took her in, I said. Fed her. Helped her get a small job at the bakery. But Alina, she kept asking why you didn't even text her back. Do you know what it's like to watch someone's face when they realize the person they love the most just isn't there for them? My daughter buried her face in her hands. Mom, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. That's the point. My voice cracked. You didn't know because you didn't care to know. You switched off your phone to enjoy your vacation. You switched off the world. The room went silent except for Grandpa's slow breathing. After a long pause, she whispered, "Where is Alina now?" She's still at the bakery. Saving every penny. She wants to study nursing one day. My daughter sat back, silent. I could see her mind racing, not just with guilt, but with something else. Something heavier. Then she said it. Mom. I think I need to tell you the real reason I left for Maldives. I folded my arms. I'm listening. She hesitated, her lips trembling. I didn't just go there for a holiday. I went there to meet someone. Someone I've been talking to for the past 8 months. Someone who promised me a way out of everything here. The air in the room shifted. I stared at her. What do you mean, a way out? She swallowed hard. Mom, the person I went to meet isn't who I thought they were. And now, I think they might be following me. I froze. Following you? What are you talking about? She glanced over her shoulder at the living room window, her voice dropping to a whisper. Mom, you remember how I used to sell old clothes online? Well, one day, this man messaged me. Said he was a business investor from Australia who spent most of his time in Maldives. He told me he'd seen my pictures and thought I had potential. I didn't like the way she said that word. Potential for what? She shook her head. At first, he talked about modeling. Then about brand deals. He sent me money for travel expenses, more money than I've ever had at once. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd say it was a scam. But, Mom, when I got there, it was different. He wasn't just some guy. He knew everything about me, my school, my friends, even Alina's name. My chest tightened. How? I don't know, she said, her eyes darting toward Grandpa. The first night, he took my phone. Said he wanted to sync it with his contacts. The next morning, I woke up and all my accounts, Instagram, bank, email, had strange logins from different countries. That's when I panicked. I told him I wanted to leave, and that's when he said, you can leave, but I'll be seeing you again soon. I felt a cold shiver down my spine. Why didn't you go to the police? I asked. I tried, she said, but he's connected. Everyone I spoke to acted like they couldn't help. So I borrowed money from a couple at the hotel to get a flight back. I paced the room, my mind racing. This wasn't just about irresponsibility anymore, this was danger. Real danger. Then she added something that made my blood run cold. Mom, when I got off the plane yesterday, I saw him. At the airport. Just standing there, smiling at me. He didn't say a word. But this morning, I found this in my bag. She pulled out a small black envelope. Inside was a single photograph. It was taken from outside our house, through the window, and in it, was me, sitting by Grandpa's bed. My hand shook as I stared at it. He's been here. She nodded slowly. And if he's watching us, it means he knows about Alina too. I walked to the door and locked it. My mind flashed through everything, my father, my daughter, Alina, even Mrs. Helen down the street. This wasn't just a family problem anymore. I looked at her and said, from now on, you don't leave this house alone. You don't talk to strangers. And you tell me everything you've been hiding. She took a deep breath. There's one more thing, Mom. I didn't go to Maldives alone. Before I could ask, we heard it, a soft knock on the front door. We both froze. The knock came again, slower this time. Then a man's voice, calm and deep. Open the door, Michael. We need to talk, about your daughter. The knock came again. Knock, knock, knock. Calm. Measured. The kind of knock that doesn't belong to someone in a hurry, but someone who already knows they're getting in. I stood frozen in the hallway, my daughter clutching my arm. Mom, don't open it, she whispered. But the voice came again. Michael, it's in your best interest to let me in. You have something that belongs to me. My eyes darted to her. What is he talking about? Her face went pale. I didn't tell you because I thought I could get rid of it before he found me. But I still have it. I clenched my jaw. Still have what? She hesitated, then reached into her suitcase and pulled out a small, metal flash drive. It was scratched, dented, and taped shut. He gave me this in Maldives and told me to hold on to it until I got back. I was supposed to give it to someone here, but after I realized who he really was, I decided to keep it. I thought maybe it could protect me if things got bad. Do you even know what's on it? I asked. She shook her head. No. But I know it's important. Too important. The night I left, he was screaming on the phone to someone saying if we lose that drive, we lose everything. The knocking stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Then, the sound of footsteps circling the house. I pulled my phone from my pocket. We're calling the police. But before I could dial, a text came through. No name. Just a number I didn't recognize. The police can't help you. Give me the drive, or you'll regret it. I grabbed the flash drive, shoved it in my pocket, and motioned for my daughter to follow me. We're leaving. Now. We slipped out the back door, keeping to the shadows. Grandpa's hospital bed was hooked to a portable oxygen machine, so I wheeled him slowly, every creak of the chair making my heart race. We made it 2 streets over before I saw them, 2 men in dark jackets standing under a street lamp, scanning the road. We ducked into an alley. My daughter was shaking. Mom, what are we going to do? I thought for a moment, then remembered something, Alina. She lived above the bakery where she worked. A tiny room with 1 entrance, 1 exit. And more importantly, a steel security door. When we got there, she opened the door in surprise. Uncle Michael? What's going on? No time to explain, I said, ushering everyone inside. Lock it. Don't open it for anyone. Once we were safe, I finally sat down and plugged the flash drive into Alina's old laptop. The files were encrypted, but 1 folder wasn't. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, of people I didn't recognize. Some in airports. Some in offices. All taken from a distance. And in the last set of photos, was me. Not just me by Grandpa's bed. Me leaving for Singapore. Me in a hotel lobby overseas. Me, shaking hands with a man I barely remembered meeting at a business conference last year. My blood went cold. Whoever this man was, he had been watching my family long before my daughter even knew him. I turned to her. This isn't just about you. This is about us. All of us. Before she could reply, there was a loud bang on the steel door. Not a knock, a kick. Michael, the voice called again, this time colder, more forceful. You have 10 seconds. We all stared at each other. 9. 8. 7. I stood, the flash drive in my fist. If you want it, I muttered under my breath, you're going to have to take it from me.